Yo, what's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and today we are heading back to the Steel City. We're taking a look today at the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Penguins have been extremely good this season. Ron Hextall and Brian Burke, wow, how they have turned around the Penguins. Now, is it really a turning around? I mean, let's be honest. The Penguins have been an organization that has been a very good team, always making the playoffs. They consistently get into the playoffs, but they've started to fall into that mediocrity tag where they make the playoffs. They might get home ice advantage, second or third in their division, and then they lose in the first or second round, and that's it. So, what do the Penguins do this year? What's the difference for them to make that next step? Now, last week or earlier this week, we made a video talking about the Penguins. Are they a contender or a pretender? And I think it's hard to tell at this point, but it's pretty clear that the same guys that have been in the room for a long time are still there, but they also have a little bit of the X factors, and we'll go over that and why I think the Penguins are more than just a first-round exit this year. Or if they are going to be a first-round exit, the reasons why that will happen. So you look at the last couple years for the Penguins. You look at their last couple years, they finished pretty much what I said. Really, from the 2015-16 season up until the 2017-18 season, that is 3 straight years of finishing second in their division. And the past 2 years after that, they were third. Last season, they ended up being first in the Metro Division in the 2021 season. And now they currently sit fourth in their division. Now, again, that's telling because of how good the Metropolitan Division has been this year. So just to give you some context ahead of them, the Rangers, Hurricanes, and Capitals. And they're only 2 points back of the Capitals. And only a couple points back of those other teams. So the Penguins are still legitimately in the chase, and you look at them, the Penguins, and the first team out of a wild card spot, that is the Detroit Red Wings. They are 10 points back of the Pittsburgh Penguins. That is the separation there. So that's the first thing we have to look at. Now we're looking at the standings, right? They sit fourth in their division, but what is the success of the Penguins so far? Well, let's remember the context starting into the year. They were going to start the season without Evgeny Malkin. They were going to start the season without Sidney Crosby and a pretty banged-up blue line. We started to see pretty early into the year. Brian Dumoulin went down with injury. Chris Letang went down with injury. Jay Guentzel, right around Christmas, Thanksgiving time, he went down with an injury, and it kind of looked like the writing was on the wall for the Penguins. This was going to be the year that they make the playoffs. And unfortunately, well, maybe not for Penguins fans, but unfortunately for everybody else in the Metro Division, the Penguins just stayed exactly the way we thought that they could, which is the same team we've seen year after year after year. And the Penguins right now, you look at their top 6. Jake Guentzel, Sidney Crosby, Evan Rodriguez. We'll talk about him in a second. Jeff Carter, Evgeny Malkin, and Kasperi Kapanen. So now the big boys are coming back for the Penguins. Now you put Jeff Carter, who was the first line center when Crosby and Malkin were both out. Now Carter plays on the wing on the second line. Much deeper look now with those two back. And you look at everybody below them. Anthony Angelo, Teddy Bluger, Dominic Simone, Brian Boyle, Kasper Borgqvist, and all those guys. So the depth is there for the Penguins. But that was the big question going into the year. Would the Penguins have enough depth, to step up at the very least? And they did that. They held their own without the big guys in the lineup. So now everybody's seemingly coming back healthy. It's kind of like on pins and needles at this point for the Penguins, because we know how pretty much fragile like glass guys like Letang and Dumoulin are. But the Penguins still have those guys there. So that's your forward group. And defense, you got Dumoulin, Letang, Pettersson, Marino, Matheson, and Chad Roweedle. So their defense is pretty healthy for the most part. Yet you still have some guys like Jason Zucker on IR. And then you have a couple guys in COVID, which you got DeSmith, Heinen, and McGinn in there. But the biggest question for the Penguins going into this year, and other than the Crosby-Malkin thing, what is the state of their goaltending? Because the biggest critique, especially in the playoffs, it was highlighted in their series against the New York Islanders. Could they get competent goaltending from Tristan Jarry and Casey DeSmith? Now, ever since Matt Murray left, it was kind of a concern. Everybody just assumed Jarry would come in and take over Murray's spot. It didn't necessarily work that way. Tristan Jarry has gone through some growing pains his first couple years in Pittsburgh, but it sounds like the end of 2021 and the beginning of 2022 is the year of Tristan Jarry. And Jarry, I would not be surprised, based off of how things went last year and how he's turned it around this year, the accolades he's going to get, he could be a goaltender that's in the Vezina final conversation if it gets to that point. He has been that spectacular for the Penguins. And then Casey DeSmith has been a very reliable backup. Yes, he's had his hiccups where he's had to be pulled in a couple of games here and there, but then Tristan Jarry bailed him out. So that's the kind of thing that the Penguins weren't getting for a long time. I mean, remember, the Penguins were a goalie factory. They went from Marc-Andre Fleury to Matt Murray to Tristan Jarry, and it just seemed like it was just going to continue, right? And then Casey DeSmith, right? So the concerns were there. And we also saw in the beginning of the year that Finnish goaltender, the prospect of the Penguins, he's still in the system. He went back overseas, I think. Some young prospect. I think it was like Blomqvist or something like that. And he was looking to make the lineup and potentially be the Penguins starter this year. Now, obviously, that didn't work out, but man, you look at what an opportunity Tristan Jarry has really elevated himself. He's matured, it seems like. He just seems like a different guy in the crease for the Penguins than he did last year, giving away the puck to Josh Bailey in double overtime in the playoffs against the Islanders. I know you guys don't like remembering that, but that's one that I'll never forget. No way. So you look at his stats, they are top 5 overall in the entire NHL. Goals against average and save percentage. Now, the only two guys that are ahead of him in goals against average are backup goalies, both Charlie Lindgren and Zach Fucale. They have not played the games that Tristan Jarry has had. So, in terms of a starting goaltender, Tristan Jarry has the best goals against average as a starting goalie. He has a 1.91 goals against average. Really solid stuff. His save percentage, again, top 5. And that's with a couple backups in there. Charlie Lindgren of the Blues again. Daniil Tarasov of Columbus. Those are backups. So really, it's Shesterkin, Campbell, and Jarry. In terms of your top 3 for goals against average, he has a .932 save percentage. That is incredible. And to be even in the same conversation as Freddie Anderson of the Hurricanes, who has been great this year. Jack Campbell of the Leafs. Igor Shesterkin of the Rangers. He's going to find himself in the Vezina Trophy candidate list at the very least. He'll at the very least be in the conversation to be a finalist. And you look at his stats through the first part of the season, you know he would probably get one of those 3 ballots to go to Vegas as a finalist for the Norris Trophy because of how good, the Vezina Trophy based off of how good he's been. And what do they always say? They always say, your quarterback of your team is the center, and this and that. But the most important position in the NHL, let's be honest, you don't have a good goalie, you don't have anything. And that's been something that has kind of been illustrated in Pittsburgh, an organization that has had Crosby and Malkin and all this success around them, yet they didn't have a goalie last year, and that's probably what set them back from going further. Maybe Tristan Jarry used the last summer, all the criticism, all the critiques, all the questioning to his general managers about why are you keeping this guy, he's not very good. He has used that last summer as momentum, as fuel, and Tristan Jarry has become the goaltender that we're seeing today. Now, what also helps, they always say for goaltending as well, your best penalty killer is your goaltender, and that probably contributes to their number 1 penalty kill in the NHL, eclipsing 90.7% right now. The Penguins are very efficient on the penalty kill, and one of the reasons why the Penguins have been so successful this year. I don't know what, Coach Mike Sullivan has truly done to this team, but what he's done has been just nothing short of incredible with basically the same personnel. This is a team that, again, critiqued a lot for their defense, not only their goaltending, but their defense. Would Dumoulin and Letang stay healthy? That's your top pairing. Marcus Pettersson and John Marino, they look promising, but still, that's second pairing. And then you have Michael Matheson and Chad Ruhwedel. There were a lot of questions like, I don't know if that's a Penguins team that's going to make the playoffs with that kind of defense. Yet here they are right in that conversation. So guys, Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Do you think the Penguins have what it takes this year to go all the way, maybe go on a deep playoff run? Or do you think this will fizzle out? Maybe they'll make the playoffs. Maybe they'll get bounced in the first or second round. Let me know what you guys think down below. And if you like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey and want to see the latest news around the NHL and more videos just like this one, you guys know what to do. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and an even bigger subscribe down below. And I will see you again next time.